My name is Rebecca Michael. I am the Advocacy Manager for the Independent Center, and this is the Independent Center podcast. I am joined with my partner in crime.
My name is Daniel Ratcliffe, the Benefits Coordinator at the Independent Center.
And we are here to talk about the Veteran in Charge program. And we have two guests here who are going to introduce themselves, and we're going to then ask them a number of questions, whether or not they're prepared or not. So go ahead, Marcia.
We'll do our best. I'm Marcia Unruh. I am the Independent Living Program Manager for Veteran in Charge.
And I'm Ashley Billington. I'm Veteran Coach Coordinator for the Veteran in Charge program.
There you go. I was like, you have more than just that title. Come on now.
Jack of all trades.
I'm sure that would work as well. I'm like, okay, Ashley, I need to ask you a couple of questions. So let's talk about what the Veteran in Charge program is. And we refer to it as the VIC program. So just for those who are listening, if you hear VIC, that is what we're referring to. So you guys don't have to say it fully from now on, because now I've prefaced it. So, Marcia?
So the Veteran in Charge program is a veteran-directed care program funded by the VA, and it's for veterans who can remain in their home and choose the services and supports that they need to stay in their home and community. Most of our vets are aging, or they have disabilities, they need that extra help, and the only way they're getting out of their home is in a pine box. And so how do you provide that service and support so they can remain in their home? That's veteran-directed care. That's what the VIC program does.
So, Ashley, how do you work within this program? What is your role? Besides
Amongst
Jack
doing
of all trades.
instead of all of the Jack of all trades.
Yes.
Well, as in the role as the coach, we're going into the homes and working very closely with the veteran and their family to determine, other than the goal of staying in their home, what does that look like for them? Who do they want in charge of? Who do they want as their caregiver? How much do they want to pay them? What can or can't they do, and what do they want to do outside of the home? What are their priorities? That's what we're working with the family and the veteran to determine, helping them find other resources in the community. We really approach a person holistically. It's not just about the home. What else do you need? What else are you wanting to do? And so that's kind of what we're doing, is we're walking alongside the veteran. We're not dictating to them what independent living looks like for them. And we're not letting really anybody else determine that for them. We're supporting them to make those choices.
And we find that most of the veterans have three goals, one of three at least anyway. I want to remain in my home and community. I want to socialize more. I want to maintain my health or have my health get better. Yes. Yeah.
Question for you, Marcia. How did this program find the Independent Center?
That was kind of fun.
Aren't they always?
Actually, we were the second center for independent living in the United States to work with this program. The VA started by going to the AAAs, that's the Area Agency on Aging, in different states, and asking if they wanted to partner with the VA to bring about this program. Our AAA in the Pikes Peak region said, we can't do this. We can't front that money, but we know that we've got the Center for Independent Living here, and maybe they'd be willing to do it. And so the Independent Center came back and said, yes, we'll go ahead and try this program. And that's how it happened. And so we had to do a lot of paperwork, readiness review, so many checks and balances before we could even start. I think it took a full year of just taking care of paperwork, documentation, before we could actually start with our first veteran.
And with all of that being implemented, where do you stand? Where does this VIC program stand now on a national level? How does it look?
It's way cool.
It's way cool.
Colorado's the second largest state with a number of veterans in this program. It is the fastest growing, and we are probably second or third in the nation right now in the number of veterans that we serve.
That's exactly what I wanted to highlight, because I knew that, but I love to share the victories that we have in bringing some quality of life to our vets. And first, let me thank you guys for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Definitely.
And Daniel, I don't even think you know this because it's just happened. We've expanded to 2 more counties.
Wow.
So we were in, and still are, in Elbert, El Paso, Park, Pueblo, and Teller counties. We have just taken Douglas County. and Fremont County as well.
I hope you Douglas County and Fremont County veterans are listening.
Yes.
There are some
Be
supports
prepared.
there.
So how about we talk about your team as a whole and what they go out and do. So Ashley did touch on kind of what the coach does, but you don't just have coaches within your team. So let's talk about that.
That's correct. We have 2 veteran coaches, and then Ashley is the lead veteran coach. And she takes care of reviewing spending plans and assessments, make sure we're just all following the right track and where we need to be. We also have a peer support specialist who is a veteran, a disabled veteran, and that's Marco. And Marco does INR, so information and referral. So if we get a call from a veteran and they don't even know where to start with the VIC program or the VA benefits in general, he can help them through that process. He also teaches people how to advocate. And this is big at the Independence Center, is we don't work for you. We don't advocate for you, but we advocate with you. So he will teach veterans how to advocate for themselves. And sometimes that can be really difficult.
Yes.
Because a veteran has been told where to live, where to sleep, when to eat, where to be, what to wear, and they get out of the military and they struggle a little bit with that. You know, how am I going to advocate for myself? How am I going to make those decisions? And so Marco is really good about working through that with them. Not only does he do self-advocacy and INR, he also runs a support group for veterans too.
Awesome.
On a weekly basis.
Okay, and when does that
or
support
bi-weekly,
group?
sorry.
Where can they find that support group, and what are the hours?
It is every other Thursday, the second and fourth Thursday from 1 to 2:30 at the Independence Center.
Okay, and do individuals need to contact him first and schedule a meeting to come to it, or can they just walk in and show up?
You know, if they'd walk in, that would be okay, but we'd prefer a phone call ahead of time, but you can do either or.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome.
And then we have one other person on our team as well, and that is our quality support and services person. As people probably guess, the VA loves paperwork. And so we have to check monthly spending reports, referrals and authorizations. Just keeping all that documentation and data in check is really what Holland does.
Awesome.
So she does a great job.
So what are the names of your other coaches?
We
besides
have
Ashley?
Kim and Michelle.
Awesome. So, thinking back at the reason to start this program at the Independence Center, it sounds like just the partnerships that the Independence Center had already started within the work that they were already doing as the Center for Independent Living and a home health agency really kind of streamlined the communication from our AAA in town and in the region that they serve and to the Independence Center for this program. Does that sound right?
Yes. I mean, we had such a good relationship with the AAA, working with them as part of the ADRC, which is Aging and Disability Resource Center. So we had done a lot of work with them beforehand, and we've been partners for so long together. They were perfectly comfortable saying, yeah, if you want to go ahead and start this program, feel free. What was interesting about it, though, is we hadn't been in a network of veterans. And so we hadn't really served veterans. We hadn't really gone out and done any advertising or anything like that. And we didn't know the veteran organizations in order to network. And so it really got us into a whole different field. We just started looking. I think we did some internet research.
Yeah, that first year, a lot of it was trying to figure out who were the partners that we needed to be in relationship with that could bring veterans to us. And that's really how we grew the program the first year, because the VA wasn't really advertising the program to veterans at the medical center or in the clinic. So it was really boots hit the ground, hit out to Park Teller, go to every VFW who would be willing to talk to you.
American Legion.
I
think Ashley and I did a couple of spaghetti dinners and breakfasts in different restaurants, just wherever veterans were gathered. We went.
Yeah. So Ashley, I have a question for you. So if I'm a veteran, and I would like to be a part of the VIC program, what are the criteria of eligibility and what is the process that I need to follow?
Well, first, really, the veteran needs to be connected to the VA Medical Center. They need to be receiving medical supports through there. So if they've never connected to the VA, that's where you need to get started. And so if they're confused about how to do that, Marco's a really good starting place to walk through. What do I need when I walk through the door to get my very first appointment? And what do I need to communicate about my health needs and my needs in the home? They're not just going to give you this program because you say you need help in the home. You have to be very specific about what are those needs and how do they match up with the disabilities that the veteran may have. So they're going to be looking at the activities of daily living. What are the things that are critical that we all do when we get up in the morning that we take advantage, that we just take for granted? Getting up to get dressed, showering, our movements in our home, to transferring in and out of our chairs. Things that we don't think about but have become difficult for somebody. Those are the things that the VA is looking at to come into the program. The other piece is that some people can do those things fairly well, but they need a lot of prompting because they may have a significant cognitive impairment, maybe something like dementia or a traumatic brain injury. And then we have there's a third category that we call kind of the catch-all. And it's a little mixture of, it's those ADLs or activities of daily living with 3 of a laundry list of things.
Okay.
But the VA would be looking at where does this person fit within that? And does their medical records back that up? That's the big key is what do they have that can be clinically proven?
So as a veteran, could I depend on the VA to point me into the direction of the Independent Center and the VIC program? Or should I bring it up to the VA that I would like to be a part of the VIC program?
I would say most of our veterans are actually having to be proactive on their end to say, I'm aware of this program and I would like to be a part of it. And I think a lot of our families have also said, or veterans have said, I don't want traditional home health, so I want your alternative to that. There tends to be a lot of turnover sometimes with the physicians at the VA. So to make sure that every doctor or every social worker there is aware of the program, they're not educating everybody well enough. So I think the veteran has to be educated to know veteran-directed care is available to them if they meet the criteria. And that's the other part about working with Marco on advocating for themselves to ask for it and pushing.
You're saying as a veteran, I actually have a choice.
Yes.
So would that be the choice voucher? Is that what it's called? The choice voucher?
The choice program?
The choice program?
That's actually a little different. Mm-hmm. And it can sometimes the word I'm looking for.
Well, the Veteran Choice Program changed, so now it's community care.
Now it's community care. But it can sometimes complicate, that's the word I was looking for, sometimes complicate getting into the VDC program. Because with the choice program, you have to be a certain distance from a medical facility. You might have to have a significantly long wait to get in to see a doctor or a specialist. And so that's where you can go, we call it on the economy in the military, but you can go see another physician or a doctor wherever locally. Getting that paperwork from that doctor into the VA system so that the social workers and the primary care physician can see it in order to use that for a referral to veteran-directed care can be complicated. Okay. It just takes a while for that to get in the system.
Awesome.
So then what would your recommendation be if someone is hearing this podcast and saying, I really want to know more about this program? What would your recommendation be on how they get connected?
I would have them call Marco and talk to Marco at first and sort of explain the program, go a little bit into detail. He can set them on the path of what they need to do. If people say, hey, I got it, and I don't need to talk to Marco, they need to contact their social worker at the VA and say, I want a consult for veteran-directed care. They say the VIC program, people are going to look a little puzzled because that's the Independent Center's name for it, but veteran-directed care consult. Once that consult is put in, it actually goes to Denver. A VAMC coordinator does a telephonic assessment and then determines their eligibility and sends a referral and authorization to us so we can actually make contact and start enrolling that individual.
Okay. So following into that same direction, if we have an organization that wants to learn more that's listening and wants to know more about the VIC program, how do they get connected, and who should they call?
They should call Marco as well
Okay.
and get information from him. The one thing I did mention is with his responsibility and information and referral is he has all of the resources. He has worked at the VA before, which is really a bonus for us.
That's valuable.
But he knows the resources in the community, and as we're expanding too, he's reaching out to those agencies as well in the new counties.
Could you provide our listeners with his contact information?
I don't know his extension.
Well, how
but
about
the
Well, they can
number?
contact the Independence
they can
Center.
contact the Independence Center and they
Yes.
can direct it to him.
Yes. And it is 719-471-8181. And then just ask for Marco.
There's only one Marco.
There's
so
only
everybody
one.
knows.
Or you have a coach who has his
Oh, well, thank goodness
business
you have
card.
this.
There we
and
go.
Right on, Ashley.
His extension is 178. I'm going to give out his email too.
Yeah.
I don't know if
That
you'll like
works.
that, but it's okay. So it's MGUILLOTY at the-ic.org. His last name is Giotti.
So we may want to warn him. He may be
I
getting
will
emails.
warn him. I will absolutely warn him.
He's a
And
really
phone
good guy
calls.
for our listeners. He's a good guy.
Yeah,
He is a good guy.
He is a very good guy.
I really want to say something about caregivers. We didn't talk about that much, but and this is sort of a push to those folks who are right now taking care of their loved ones, whether it be a son or a daughter taking care of a veteran or a spouse. Typically, we find that those individuals are not getting paid to take care of their loved one. They've had to quit their jobs because, this is my dad or this is my husband or my wife, and I want to take care of them, and I want to make sure that their care is good care. The veteran can hire that individual. They can hire that family member. So this has really been significant for family caregivers that are not getting paid.
That's amazing.
Because now they have a job, they have income coming in, they can actually support the family and take care of that veteran. And then we do have caregivers that say, you know what, I'm done.
Right.
I want to go back to being a spouse or a son or a daughter, and I want somebody else to come in and take care of my loved one so I can do some other things with my life as well. So we see both sides.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
And how does one get set up with becoming a caregiver for their loved one?
It's getting in the VIC program and then having the veteran actually hire them.
Yeah.
Because the veteran directs the care.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So even if I wanted to, if I was a son of a veteran and I'm like, I really want to take care of my dad, I want to take care of my dad, unless my dad chooses to have me take care of him through the VDC, then I should wait and play my position until dad makes
Wait.
the decision.
Wait
And I shouldn't
patiently.
impose on his right to choose, correct?
That is correct.
All right.
All about self-direction. The one thing we forgot to mention that most people ask is, do you have to have a disability rating with the VA for the veterans?
That is a good question.
Right. Because most people assume if you're going in and you're getting medical care that you are receiving some kind of compensation. For our program, you do not have to have a disability rating with the VA. You could go in and have 0 service connection
And still.
still be eligible for our program if you meet the medical side of it. So just for those folks that immediately think, hey, I'm 100%, can I automatically get in? Our program is not tied at all with service connection.
That's awesome.
And there's something else we should probably mention too, and that is sometimes veterans, gosh, I served back in the 70s for 4 years and nothing happened to me then, so I'm okay. I can't get in this program. That is not true. And so we find that individuals who were in the military before don't always consider themselves veterans if they didn't serve in war time or they didn't get hurt. But, we ask, have you ever served in the military? That's really significant for us.
Does discharge matter? Whether
type of
honorable or
discharge?
dishonorable?
Well, they have to be accepted into the VA medical side.
Okay,
So
gotcha.
if there's something on there that may preclude them from being eligible for medical benefits, then. But if they want to challenge it, because we've heard stories of veterans who were discharged for other reasons that are actually tied to service connection that have been able to have their discharged overturned. So again, that would be a really good thing to talk with Marco about as well.
Awesome.
Okay.
You can help with that.
That's
We need to get
amazing.
Marco here in the hot
I
seat.
know.
We do.
We now know who we're going to have come in next.
Oh, yeah. Definitely.
You guys can do the prep and let them know that we're not as scary as we probably sound.
We will do that.
Just make sure he's got lots of coffee with 3 shots of espresso.
That's good to know. Okay, well, that's to the list.
That's how we'll get him to do the podcast.
Exactly.
Bribery works every time.
Well, I think that we've come to the end of our conversation. Is there anything else you guys want to add before we move on? No.
I think you've covered everything.
Yeah.
So
You've asked all the right questions.
good job.
Good job.
Daniel.
What? You asked questions too. Good job, Becca.
I did think
yes.
of one thing. I'll always think of one thing.
Of course.
Authorized representatives. We
Yes,
didn't
good
talk
conversation
about
about
that.
yes,
That is a
let's
great
talk about that.
topic.
So, one of the criteria to get in this program, just one of many, you don't have to have them all, is somebody has a significant cognitive impairment, whether it be a TBI, PTSD, what have you. But obviously that person can't direct their own services. So how does that look? What they do is they have to name an authorized representative. So that authorized representative is not paid. It could be a spouse or a son or a daughter, a neighbor or a friend, a brother, a sister. It could be somebody who's out of state but knows the veteran well. But the authorized rep would actually come in and direct the services for the veteran if they cognitively cannot do that.
Okay.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's great.
And that would be something that would be directed or assigned prior to coming into the VIC program, or is that something that you guys would do with the veteran?
Well, when the VA is doing the eligibility, oftentimes if they're noting that the person has a significant cognitive impairment, they're already speaking to that family member, or there's somebody involved that says, you know what, I'm willing to step into this role. I know my mom or dad or my son or daughter well enough I know what they would want their independent living to look like. But when we go in to do our first appointment, before we schedule that, we're asking, hey, we note that you are going to need somebody to direct care for, John Smith over here. We want to make sure that all partners are at the table when we come together for that first meeting and every meeting after that, so that everybody's aware of what their responsibilities are and who we're interacting with together.
Yeah. We also have, I don't know what that's called, Ashley, that form that we can determine if somebody is okay to direct their own services.
Okay.
It's kind of an assessment.
It's a
cognitive assessment. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head.
I forget the name of it. A lot of times the folks have already been predetermined before we get there, but let's assume we've been working with somebody for 3 or 4 years and there's been a significant amount of change. We do have a tool that we can use when we notice that the decline is becoming significant.
Oh, okay.
And we need to encourage or move towards having an authorized representative put into place for that person so they can continue to participate with us.
So they don't have to come in with an authorized rep, but over the course of the work that we do with them, there's an opportunity to see.
Yeah, it could happen.
Okay.
It could happen.
That's really cool. Well, before we end, I don't think that we touched on much of who Marcia is and who Ashley is. So let's give just a little bit of background on how you got to the Independent Center and why you do this work.
Oh, okay. Well, that's kind of cool. I actually came from the developmental disability world. I have a brother with a developmental disability. I'm his guardian. And that was my focus for probably about 6 years prior to this. But I think I was ready to work with all disabilities. And that was different for me. When the director of independent living said, hey, we have this veteran program we want to start. Are you interested in it? It was home and community-based services, and that was my background on working with developmental disabilities. I jumped at the chance, and I'm a let me see if I get this right. I'm a daughter, widow, and mother of Army soldiers.
Oh, there you go.
My father fought in the Korean War. My husband was in Vietnam, and my son is currently active duty over in Germany. And so I understood the military lingo and understood what the military life was like. It was still a little tough to break back into that at Peace to start networking, but I was really excited to do that and super happy to be here.
That's amazing. It's amazing how the Independent Center can kind of draw you in
Definitely.
Yeah.
from all the different disabilities that we work with. So, Ashley.
Okay, mine maybe is very different. Marsha actually stole me from.
I did. On purpose.
I had relocated from out of state and we had been looking for employment, and so I'd actually had interviewed at another agency around the same time that I interviewed with Marsha, and had accepted the other position. And Marsha, she vied for me very hard, and so here I am. But my heart has been more into this too for similar reasons. My grandfather is a World War II vet. My dad is a disabled Vietnam era veteran. So it's always been very important for me to make sure I have a way to give back to the military community that gave so much to my family, and make sure that people are always able to remain in their home and surrounded by the people that they love, doing the things that they love, around their belongings that hold all their memories, as opposed to being forced into alternative living situations that they would not have chosen for themselves. So
very cool.
Yep.
We thank you both for being here. Honestly,
we appreciate it.
Your services are great, not only for the Independence Center, but for the community and also for the nation as well as the world, because you guys have a reach beyond just the Independence Center and Colorado.
That's
Well,
great.
thank you. Thank you. I appreciate
So
that.
just to wrap things up, if you are a veteran and you are interested in veteran-directed care, please contact your social worker first and ask them to be a part of the
Veteran-directed care program.
Veteran-directed care program, and then reach out to Marco at the Independence Center. The phone number is 719-471-8181, extension
178.
178. Remember that, 178. And I'm sure that they will do a great job of taking care of you and helping you figure out if it's a good fit for you or not.
Yep.
Okay.
And you can also check us out on our website, theindependencenter.org, and then you can also search for the VIC program from our website, but there is also a number of pages you can find that will navigate you there. So thank you so much. We appreciate you guys coming in and talking to us.
Thank you guys.
Thank you.